In this video, I'm going to address when the multitude in white robes will be martyred. So Kristen asked a question about when the multitude in white robes will be martyred. And one of the things that she said is, so our chance to be martyred will come after the trumpets or the first resurrection. Sorry if I misunderstood that. No, the multitude in white robes will be martyred before the seventh trumpet. The witnesses, the 144,000, are sealed before the first four trumpets. In Revelation 7:1, it says, "After this I saw four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on the land or on the sea or on any tree. Then I saw another angel coming up from the east, having the seal of the living God. He called out in a loud voice to the four angels who had been given power to harm the land and the sea. 'Do not harm the land or the sea or the trees until we put a seal on the foreheads of the servants of our God.'" Those are the witnesses. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all of the tribes of Israel. Don't mistake that for ethnicity. Spiritual Israel has spiritual tribes. The reason why the witnesses are being sealed before the first four trumpets blow is because when the fifth trumpet blows and the Antichrist rises from the abyss to overpower and kill the witnesses, they're not going to be here for the fifth and sixth trumpet, but at the time of that fifth trumpet, that's when the Antichrist rises from the abyss. That's also when Satan, that star, falls from the sky, goes down to the abyss, has a key to the shaft of the abyss, opens up the abyss, and when the door opens, smoke rises from it. You see that in Revelation 9 with regard to the fifth trumpet. You also see in Revelation 11 that when the Antichrist rises from the abyss, he will overpower and kill the witnesses. At that point, the witnesses are going to die. So they've only been sealed for the first four trumpets. The multitude in white robes, however, let's go to Ezekiel 9. "Then I heard him call out in a loud voice, 'Bring near those who are appointed to execute judgment on the city, each with a weapon in his hand.'" This is talking about the six angels. Here it's going to refer to it as the six men, and is going to refer to a mark on the foreheads of those who grieve and lament the detestable things that are done in Jerusalem. Obviously, we're not talking about the mark of the beast, because people who are receiving the mark of the beast are not grieving and lamenting detestable things that are being done in Jerusalem. So each with a weapon in his hand, and I saw six men, these are the six angels with the six trumpets, coming from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with a deadly weapon in his hand. With them was a man clothed in linen, who had a writing kit at his side. They came in and stood beside the bronze altar. Now the glory of the God of Israel went up from above the cherubim, where it had been, and moved to the threshold of the temple. Then the Lord called to the man clothed in linen, who had the writing kit at his side, and said to him, "Go throughout the city of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of those who grieve and lament over all the detestable things that are done in it." As I listened, he said to the others, "Follow him through the city, and kill, without showing pity or compassion. Slaughter the old men, the young men, the women, the mothers, the children. Do not touch anyone who has the mark. Begin at my sanctuary." So they began with the old men who were in front of the temple. Then he said to them, "Defile the temple and fill the courts with the slain. Go." So they went out and began killing throughout the city. While they were killing, and I was left alone, I fell face down, crying out, "Alas, sovereign Lord, are you going to destroy the entire remnant of Israel in this outpouring of your wrath on Jerusalem?" Okay, so something's happening here. And you should be seeing right now in the spiritual, you should be seeing those who have died in those trumpets. Those who've been hardened, those who are walking around like spiritual zombies. You should be seeing that. Those who refuse to listen to truth, those who have been swearing falsely in his name, who don't care what you have to say, you should be seeing that. These first four trumpets are separating the wheat from the tares. The tares are not listening to anything that the witnesses have to say. The wheat are returning to God at the admonition and teaching of the witnesses. But you see here that there are six men. So this is the sealing of the multitude in white robes. These are those who are grieving and lamenting the detestable things that are done in Jerusalem. They are returning to God. They're returning to his covenant, his true covenant, not this fake one being preached in counterfeit Christianity. And the multitude in white robes are sealed before the first six trumpets blow, because they're going to be here during those six trumpets, and those six trumpets are going to pass over them. When do the fifth and sixth trumpet blow? Well, I told you a little while ago that when that fifth trumpet blows, the beast is rising from the abyss. He has lost his place in the heavenly realms. So that's why you see him as a star falling from the sky. having the key to the shaft of the abyss, going into the abyss, rising from the abyss. And then you see in Revelation 11 that language of when the beast rises from the abyss, he will overpower and kill the witnesses. What is that beast? Well, ultimately, it's Satan. But it's Satan. Satan needs something to operate through. And he is operating through what? Counterfeit Christianity. Counterfeit religion. That's what's going to kill God's people. It's what's always killed God's people. Those who claim to be doing a service to God. That's who killed Jesus. That's who killed the apostles. That's who will kill the witnesses. That's who will kill the multitude in white robes. Now, at what point do they die? So there's a 7-year period. The witnesses are testifying the first 1,260 days. Then they're going to be thrown in jail. They're going to be killed. Revelation 2, when God is speaking to Smyrna, the church in Smyrna, he says to them, don't be afraid. You're going to be thrown in jail. Some of you are going to be thrown in jail and tested by the enemy for 10 days. So somewhere in that time, all of the witnesses are being killed. From the 1,261st day to what? The 1,271st day? That's the time that the witnesses are being killed. We know that because they can't be touched for 1,260 days. Then they're going to be thrown in jail. The beast will overpower and kill them. When will the multitude in white robes be killed? The multitude in white robes have a covenant that they're going to be fulfilling. Many are going to be purified, made spotless, and refined. Many of the wise are going to instruct many. This is what we're told in Daniel 12. And for a time, many are going to fall by the sword and be killed and captured. So all throughout that time, from the time that the witnesses die until the time that God returns, God's people are going to be being killed. Everyone is at a different place in their covenant and in their journey. The sooner you receive this covenant, the sooner you get to leave this place. Because that is not going to be a party. It's not going to be a time that you're going to be wanting to live here. I can tell you right now, doing this work, I can't wait. I can't wait to get out of here. But I need to continue the work that he has set me apart to do. My life is not fun. This is not fun. You have no idea what I deal with because of what I'm sharing. But you will. You're going to know. You have no idea the position that God brings me into in order for him to build this message in me. But you will. You're going to have an idea. And the reason I know that is because I need to know what Christ went through. I need to know what I've been given, and so do you. So during that latter half of the 7-year period, during that Antichrist reign, 1,290 days until the abomination of desolation is set up, people will be dying. You don't know at what point you're going to die, but I can guarantee you this, it won't be till your covenant is fulfilled. That's what you're going to be doing. Now, when the 7th trumpet blows, no, God's people will not be here. If you are God's people, you will not be here after that 7th trumpet blows. Everyone who did not go up in the first resurrection, which is what? The martyrs, the prophets, those who've been given authority to judge. They're not your everyday counterfeit Christian. I'm sorry to tell you that. It's not them. I don't know how in a million years that could refer to the people who've been given authority to judge. Obviously, people who've been given authority to judge have been servants of God. You must be a servant of God or you don't get to go up in the first resurrection. You have an opportunity to be a servant of God. So make sure that you're being built by him. Make sure that you're receiving that. So after the witnesses die, there will be a 5th and a 6th trumpet. Those trumpets are going to pass over God's people. That's God's wrath. However, the Antichrist wrath will not pass over God's people. God's people are all going to die. They will all be martyred. We're going to die for him. It's not just figurative in the Bible. We're all going to die for God and the Lamb. We are a sacrifice to God and the Lamb. The witnesses are described as the first fruits because they're going to die first as a sacrifice to God and the Lamb. Everyone's going to rise to see that first resurrection. Everyone's going to rise to see it, to witness it, even those who pierced him. So from the beginning of time until the end, everyone will rise. The only people going up are the servants of God who've been martyred and the prophets of God. People will be dying all the way up to that time of God when God's great wrath starts. So let me explain that piece to you. Once the witnesses die, there's going to be 1,290 days until the abomination of desolation is set up. Blessed is the one who reaches 1,335 days. Now, we know that when the abomination of desolation is set up, there will be a time of great distress such as has not happened since the beginning of the world until then. Why? Is that because of Satan? No, it's because of God, because that abomination of desolation is named the abomination of desolation, or the abomination that the idol that provokes to jealousy, because that's when God's great wrath starts. There is nothing nothing that compares to God's great wrath. So at that time, God's great wrath is going to be incited, but there is still power given to the Antichrist to cause all the inhabitants of the earth, except those whose names are written in the book of life, to take the mark of the beast, to worship the image, and those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life will be killed. Where is that mark coming from, by the way? That mark is not something that's going from the outside in. It's something that is inside of you, where you are going to be justified. In your heart, comes out of your right hand, your forehead, and your mouth. Your deeds, your mind, the way that you speak. All of these things are going to continue until the power of God's holy people has been broken. That means until you die. So somewhere up to that, God's people could be dying up to that 1335th day. So when it says, blessed is the one who reaches 1335 days, he's not saying blessed is the one who's alive at 1335 days. The one who reaches 1335 days is the one who has endured till the end. That's the language he's always used. The one who endures till the end will be saved, which means even unto death. And it's implied that it will be even unto death. If you fulfill your covenant sooner, if you bring yourself into position to serve him single-mindedly, you will be spared from a lot. If you dilly-dally, you won't. And in fact, you're taking a huge chance if you even try to dilly-dally. Just break yourself into position. It will be better for you if you don't have to be here until then. And that's not just something that I'm saying. What does Jesus say about that? It'll be terrible for the pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight does not take place on the Sabbath. It's going to be terrible at that time. You also need to know that at this point in history, there are only two categories. There will be no one at this point in history that does not either go up in that first resurrection or does not take the mark of the beast. So either you go up in that resurrection or you are condemned, like you will be going into the lake of burning sulfur. There are people who've lived before us who will be given a second chance in the second resurrection, only as one escaping the flames, but not at this point in history. You have to know that. There is no option to be double-minded, no option to be lukewarm. Christ is very clear in Revelation 2 and 3 that the people who do not get it together, who do not receive his correction, that their lampstand will be taken away, completely taken away. When your lampstand is taken away, that purpose that he has been building in you, that he has set you apart to fulfill, taken away. There is no opportunity for you to fulfill your covenant. You need to know that. No second chances. Absolutely no opportunity to be saved. All right, I hope that answered the question. If you still have other questions, then let me know. So to be clear, after the seventh trumpet blows, when the seventh trumpet blows, that's when the resurrection is going to take place. And the rest of humanity will remain on the earth to endure God's great wrath. Christ goes up to the wedding supper of the Lamb with the people who've gone up in the first resurrection. He returns with the armies of heaven dressed in fine linen, white and clean, which stands for the righteous acts of God's people. He returns and he slays everyone with the double-edged sword coming out of his mouth. That's a spiritual death. But there are certain people who are directly thrown into the lake of burning sulfur. They're not going to be rising in the second resurrection. Who are those people? They are the false prophet and the beast. Who's the beast? We know the beast ultimately is Satan, but who is he revealed as? That kingdom of counterfeit Christianity. That's why when they receive the mark of the beast, they're identified as being the beast. They will be thrown in the lake of burning sulfur. There is no opportunity for anyone who receives that mark to be saved, period. They will directly be thrown into the lake of burning sulfur. That's the second death. That is eternal death, no opportunity. That's why the word says that those who go up in the first resurrection are blessed and holy. The second death has no power over them. Well, what about the first death? Well, the first death doesn't have power over them either. But the reason why the word is saying the second death has no power over them is because there are some who will experience the first death, but they will rise in the second resurrection and they will be saved only as one escaping the flames. The second death, like if you experience the second death, there's no coming back. You're done. That's why that language is being used. So I hope that makes sense. That's the reason why the multitude in white robes are sealed before the first 6 trumpets, because by the time the 7th trumpet blows, they're going up anyway. The 7th trumpet will kick off the bowls of wrath. none of God's people will be here. All right. Please discern this message with God. Thank you, Kristen, for asking the question.